You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Thatcher.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages. Hi, my name is Mason, and here's proof that wrestling fans still live with their parents, my co-host, my dad, Graham.
Okay, this is our review then of Primetime Pro Wrestling's Grapitol City, May 26th, 2019. Doors opened at 3, and ring bell was at 3:30, and it was at the DC, I think it's Brau? Is that how you pronounce it? I was trying to listen. I wasn't sure.
When I was talking to you, I just said B-R-A-U.
I wasn't sure. It kind of sounds German. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation. But anyway, that seemed to be what they were. Because it sounded like eyebrow as they were cheering. Anyway, I guess it's just Brau anyway. Alright, now we're going to go back in time for this a little bit. This is the first event that they've actually had. And I think we need to go back and look at the history for the people from this, who are not from this area, who perhaps don't know, whoa, where's Primetime Pro Wrestling suddenly coming from? So, March 30th, Nova Pro's last show. Right at the end, we actually got as many autographs as we could for your jersey, because we were like, I don't know if we're going to see any of these people again. There wasn't really any wrestling organisations in this area where those type of people go to. Sure, people like Bobby Shields go to MCW, but a lot of those other people, we wouldn't probably see. Flying V might be the exception, but that's probably once every 6 months as it is right now.
Yeah, we see some of them at Crab, too.
We see some of that crap. Once again, that's supposed to be once every 2 months, but we don't even see that always. Sometimes that's once every 4 months, so that was definitely a big concern. Now, I'm going to mention some of the people's autographs who you got. I know you got more than this, but these are people who are significant for the Primetime Pro Wrestling, okay? I know you got Isaiah Frazier, Money Green, and right at the end, you got Breaux Keller's autograph. And I actually bought his t-shirt right at the end as well. And the reason I'm mentioning that is I actually wore that for this event. March 31st, the tweet from Nova Pro. Thank you, fans. We love you all. And that's it. That was the end of Nova Pro. And I was feeling pretty low at that time. I was like, man, we love Nova Pro. That's something we do every month. That's become a huge part of this podcast. And that's it. It was gone. Anyway, a little bit later, cryptic tweets started appearing. One was from Lolo, and it was wishing something like Mr. Gator a nice day. I was like, what? I didn't know idea what that was about at all. And I tried to go back and actually figure some of this stuff out from Coach Gator. I tried to go back to early April to try and piece this story together. You know how we talk about people not having many tweets? Like, they haven't tweeted since, I don't know, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And on the last episode, we talked about something who hadn't tweeted for 18 months. All right, how many tweets do you think Coach Gator has? Or actually, Mr. Gator, I should say now. That's his new character name. You might not even know what's a sensible number. MGB Graham, I think, has 7,000 tweets in about 10 years. Although most of those were probably in the last 18 months.
Obviously, maybe 10?
No, it's actually the exact opposite for this. 164,000 tweets.
Oh my
god. Oh my god, I couldn't believe it when I saw that many. I was absolutely shocked. So I started scrolling back, and I'm demonstrating now with my finger, scrolling. And after a while, and I'm talking a long time, it was 2 days ago. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I kept scrolling. And it took forever, and I got to May 15th, and I don't know what I clicked. It went all the way back to the start again. I was like, I'm done. I don't even care anymore. So we're not going to be able to fill in all the gaps for this. But yeah, 164,000 tweets. Alright, so we got our two extremes now. Somebody who tweeted one tweet, and that was all they did, and then Coach Gator, or Mr. Gator, at 164,000 tweets.
Okay, does he is he a robot or something who can
Coach Gator had a reputation for being very old and from pre-Civil War times, so I'm not sure how long he's had his Twitter account for. Perhaps that's why he has so many tweets there. Now, Primetime Pro Wrestling then started putting out tweets. Now, we didn't know about them at the time and who they were, so this is a sort of retroactive. After they came around, we're like, oh, and went back and looked. So, April 10th, hashtag Fill the Swamp. April 11th, hashtag Tables, Ladders, Cherry Blossoms. April 11th, hashtag Larry at the Spy Museum. And April 12th, hashtag Scorpion Drop the Smithsonian. So I'm guessing these were suggested initial names for what their first event was going to be. And obviously there's clues that it's going to be in DC with things like Cherry Blossom, Fill the Swamp, there's a political reference as well. April 14th, tomorrow, we love you, tomorrow. No indication about anything what's really going on. And then finally on April 15th, so this is 2 weeks later from Nova Pro closing, 8 wrestlers, 1 night of wrestling, 1 inaugural champion will be crowned April 15th. Also on April 15th, are you a wrestler who wants to join PTPW in making history? Get your wrestling license online. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that one specifically is one of the big stories leading up to this event was Mikey Banker, who we knew was going to be involved in the event. He didn't get his license until last day. We didn't think he was even going to be there. So, Mikey Banker, you had from April 15th until May 26th, and you left it really late. I saw a tweet. I think Ariela and Nix finally pushed him to go get his license. She gave him some tough love, is what I saw on Twitter. All right, let's keep going. April 19th, the match announcements and ticket sales finally kick off. Now, we got to jump on this. I actually asked, because I knew this was going to be popular. All the Nova Pro fans I knew were going to want to go, and other people from the DC area. I asked, what time is it coming on? I want to know. I didn't want to know what day it was. I want to know what time it was so I could get it straight away online. 9 a.m. was what I told. So 8 a.m., I went to the website just to make sure I was all ready. And as soon as it was 9 o'clock, I can refresh, buy the tickets, and then we're good. 8 a.m., for some reason, tickets were available for sale. They'd messed up. I think it was 8 a.m. Perhaps it was 8 a.m. Central Time. But anyway, they got the time zones mixed up. I think we were the first person to buy tickets. So we got off front row. I immediately tweeted all our sort of Nova Pro people, hey, go buy them. They're ready. They sold out front row within 45 minutes. They sold out second and third row in about 4 hours, I think it was. And all seats were sold on the first day. That's absolutely incredible for a first event. We talked about Flying V, how impressive that was to sell out like 3 weeks ahead of time. They sold out in a day. And then they had standing room only, and they managed to sell out all those as well. So this we knew was going to be packed for this event. So that's sort of the build-up lead into this. And before we left, as far as we knew, Mikey Banker was not going to be involved in this. I saw a tweet from Neal, and it suggested something like he was going to be there, but then underneath it said tweet is unavailable, like it had been deleted. So I was like, oh, did he say something that wasn't supposed to happen? I didn't really know. I actually thought this event was 2 p.m. as well. I actually wrote it on the calendar, 2 p.m. Luckily I checked, it was 3 p.m. So anyway, we finally figured out the right time. We set off. We got there pretty reasonably. There was a couple of detours. We didn't go 395 because there was a lot of traffic that way. This is Memorial Day weekend in the States. So we actually took a detour, 495 and then up through 295. And we were going pretty good. We had about 1/10 of a mile to go. I could see on my GPS, it said go down this street, turn left at the Shell station. What was the only problem we had then, Mason?
So it told us to go into a street that was blocked.
Yeah, it was a dead end. It was a total dead end. So we couldn't get down that street. There was like bumps and everything. It looked like somebody parked in between to block it off. It certainly wasn't a right of way. They could have just sent us right down round the bend and we would have been there almost perfectly. Yeah, GPS is wonderful, but it has some issues. And I was concerned anyway, because somebody posted something like, make sure you're careful where you go, otherwise you could be like the wrong side of a wood. I had totally the wrong image of that place. I thought it was going to be like in the country almost when somebody mentioned that wood. It was definitely a urban city, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And when we got there, you saw the sign. You were like, oh, look, it's there. Pointed to it, and I'd already gone past. So we did a U-turn, came back down. Absolutely no parking at all. So we then had to try and figure out the DC street laws. My gosh, that sign was so confusing. It was like, you can park here, but not between like Monday and Saturday, but then only if you're a Zone 5 resident. But it doesn't matter if it's on Sunday. And then if it does matter, I was like, oh my. I honestly thought we might get a $200 ticket. I had no idea. I parked it. I read that sign like 2 or 3 times. I was like, I don't know. I don't know where else we would have parked though. I'm glad we got. Aren't you glad I always want to get to events early?
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that, we took a lot of time trying to figure all that out. So there was a lot of things that went wrong on the start of this. As we got there, we saw a sign on the entrance that we'd seen before the previous week.
Oh, videotaping in progress.
Mm-hmm. And why was that significant?
Because, like, they're doing a documentary, sort of.
Who?
Like, George, the Washington people.
Yeah. University of George Washington putting together some documentary.
Aren't they in, like, Washington State?
No. It's in DC.
Oh.
You've actually been to George Washington University because we went to see a basketball game there, but you were kind of
I
little,
have a
so you might
couple
not
things
remember.
before that. So,
okay.
Like, when we parked, there was, like, this sign that had a P, and you could clearly see that there was, like, a line under the P, but the whole red part was faded.
The sign was very faded, and I was like, oh my... And I actually said, I was like, hey, if they give me a ticket for that, because it's not parking, I'm just going to claim the sign's faded and you can't tell. And you couldn't. You couldn't read any of the writing. So I think it was trying to say beyond that sign. And we were before that sign, but yeah, that wasn't really clear at all.
I was like, when we were walking to the place, I saw this pizza truck, and it said Rollins Pizza.
You did.
And I wondered, I jokingly said to you, I guess it's Seth Rollins' favorite truck.
It was. Now, part of the story that I don't even have written down here that I'd kind of forgotten about was they were supposed to have, like, Nova Pro used to have their food trucks. There was supposed to be one for this one that was supposed to be a grilled cheese food truck, which people were excited about. I'd forgotten about it. We didn't even see it. The reason we didn't see it was involved in an accident, so they couldn't actually make it there. So the DC Brau put out an email saying, a tweet put out saying, hey, any food vans around, we kind of need you today. Can you come on down? And I guess nobody responded to it. Or I guess people were busy doing other things. So, there wasn't actually any food there, which I didn't care about particularly, but
there was a 7-Eleven 2 block where we parked.
There was.
And there was it's a Brau, and there was like plenty of food in there.
There was. But if you're looking to go to a bar to get a drink and a food, you couldn't actually do that for this one. Or you couldn't get food to eat while you were watching the match. So I guess they don't serve food. A lot of those people that do that, they allow you to bring in your own food. So I guess it's one of those deals as well. Perhaps they just focus on the beer license, because you need separate licenses if you make food and things like that. So I guess it was one of those things. Yeah, ironically, there were those couple of vans outside. There was one that you just talked about, Rollins Pizza, and there was a fried chicken one as well, which was next to the store, but they were closed on that day. So I
think Scott said he had to wait 45 minutes for his fried chicken.
Ooh. I remember him saying something about it, but I couldn't. I was a little further away from him, so I couldn't exactly hear what you said. But yeah, anyway, we'd already had lunch. I would say it wasn't until 3 o'clock, so we'd had lunch, so we were fine until later in the day anyway. All right, so back to that sign then. So George Washington putting together a documentary about wrestling. We'd seen them the previous week at EWA Pro Wrestling in Maryland. And so we'll talk about more about that documentary as we get towards the end, because they're going to come back into that story. Now, as we got in, it's probably still a little early. It's probably about 2:50. And I saw Dan there from Hell in a Cell Radio, and he said like 5 minutes. So we didn't have to wait actually that long. There was a lot of people inside though.
Yeah, because you saw Sean in there.
Yeah, I was like, how did Sean get inside? I still don't know what he was doing. It looked like he had some...
I think he did the music.
Music, yeah. I could see like the dials in front of him. So, but there was a lot of people inside there already. So, and it was noticeable as soon as you walked in. Whew, it was hot.
Oh yeah,
it was really hot.
From before you got into that place, it was the stench was real.
The beer stench.
It was just disgusting.
I didn't notice that at all. I just noticed the heat. I took my special personalized jersey off because I'm like, man, it's too hot. You kept yours on the whole time. I don't know how you did that.
That bad.
So we got inside anyway. We got our seats where I wanted them to do. Put the stuff down. And had a quick walk around to see what merch was available. Saw the Grimy Scots and then realised, left the flag in the car. We left the Scottish flag, which we'd had the previous week. We left the streamers in the car as well. So I was like, come on, let's go back. So we walked all the way back to the car, only to find I hadn't left them in the car, I'd left them at home. So we then walked back again. So anyway, it kept us busy while we were waiting. And there was no pre-show for this one. That was the thing we weren't sure about. We always like to get there early, because if there's a pre-show, we want to see a pre-show.
Yeah.
This one wasn't. It was just literally, you could get in at 3, and then the bell was literally at 3. And then we came back, and I remembered one of the things they mentioned, which was really weird, was that there was 2 porta potties. So I'm like, why would they say that? And I was like, is it outside? And I was like, oh, can you imagine if it was outside in that heat? And I hadn't been to that location, so I didn't know. And anyway, there were restrooms inside, but it was kind of weird. I know you went. I talked to Josh Fuller at this point, and at that point I discovered that Mikey Banker was indeed in. He got all his paperwork in, so he was going to feature in the Battle Royal. Alright, so 3:30. Actually, just before that, 3:25 probably. We finally went back to our seats after talking to a few people, and Lolo came over, and she looked relaxed, actually. I thought it'd be kind of stressful, but you could tell it was hot, though. And I saw her post online. She's like, man, it's hot in here. And it really was.
Is it as hot as the furnace?
Oh, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, the day before, I went to Classic Pro Wrestling in Islet, Virginia, which was in a fire rescue place. And yeah, that place was called The Furnace. Oh my god, I have never felt so hot as I actually walked in. Eventually, they opened the doors at the side and some air came in. And it wasn't so bad, but yeah,
and
it was on par with that.
Don't firefighters have to wear those thick clothes?
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, there were some people who had some, like the ring announcer, he had a suit on as well. That must have been hot. Mr. Gator had a suit on as well, which would have made him really hot as well.
I think the difference between Mr. Gator and Coach Gator is Coach Gator's like the coach heel, but then Mr. Gator's like the nice face.
It's like Vince McMahon and Mr. McMahon. Yeah. There's a difference between the owner and the cat. Yeah. No, absolutely. I just keep saying one though we weren't sure. We were like, is Coach Gator going to appear? Like, we knew that Isaiah Frazier was involved, who was a big part of Crab Wrestling, and he's had a feud with him before. We weren't sure if the Coach Gator character was actually going to come into play or not, but we'll talk about that as the match went on. So, we did talk to Lolo for a little bit. I didn't see much of Coach Gator. I didn't see much of Mr. Gator. He was at the back a little bit. And, it came to 3:30. They announced the names, and then they all ran out, led by Mikey Banker. And I said, rather than me read out, normally I would read out who's going to be in each match. Rather than read out the number of names, I said, you can tell me who you can remember, and then I'll fill in any gaps that you've got. And some of these I have a few facts for as well.
Okay, so, Mikey Banker.
All right, let's see if I got anything from Mikey Banker. Probably not, because I've already talked about him, so go ahead.
Kerminator.
All right, and we know John Kerman from previous Nova events, so keep going.
O'Shea Edwards.
O'Shea Edwards. Now, we talked about him ahead of time, because you'd actually asked me who was going to be there, and I knew that he was going to be one of the big names who was going to be there. And he was actually my favourite to make it through to the next round, just because he was so well known. Actually, once he got into the ring, he actually stood centre stage in the ring. And sort of everyone formed a horseshoe around him. It was a really dominant-looking figure. Now, I mentioned to you that he'd been part of the Ring of Honor Training Center, and you actually asked me about that one. And I can confirm, it does say on his Twitter account that he's part of the dojo there, which is the training facility. So he is definitely involved in Ring of Honor right now. Now, I'm trying to delete the names as we go through so I don't repeat any. Okay?
The gym teacher.
I have him. Now, the reason I have these names is I was very sensible ahead of time. I told you I create lists for different wrestling organizations. For Nova Pro, as soon as they announced somebody, I followed them straight away. So all I went through is I looked through my whole list, and if it was a name that didn't fight in the main tournament, obviously they must have been in the Battle Royal. We hope. I don't know. I asked you how many people are in it. I don't know. I have 15 names here, Mason. Okay. So it might be that some of these didn't actually appear. All right, so I think that must have been Coach Mamone.
Okay.
Don't have much information on Coach Mamone at all. I know he had a whistle around his neck and he was blowing his whistle, but that's about as much as I have on Coach. All right. Who else?
Good cop, bad cop. That's crazy.
I'd forgot who that was, actually. I was really excited. I'd heard him mentioned on Twitter. He's known as the Grammar Cop. Okay. But I didn't see anything to do with, like, words or picking up people and things like that. That's Tony Messina. I don't have much on him as well, except that he had a whistle as well. So I know that he was...
No, he didn't have a whistle.
He was a policeman.
No.
Oh, did he steal the other guy's whistle? Oh, okay. Because somebody was going like, what's with all these whistles? It was kind of weird at the start.
He stole the gym teacher's whistle.
Uh-huh. Okay, what else? Anybody else you remember?
The glasses dude. The one with the goggles.
The glasses dude. That is Francis Kip Stevens. He's known as the Wrestling Nerd. And on Twitter, he actually posted, good luck to my friends at AEW tonight. Good luck to my friends at WWE tonight. Good luck to my friends at indie shows all over the world tonight. Happy to see so many of my friends doing great. Have fun and kill it. I thought that was a nice. I thought that was a really nice tweet. And actually, I think I got one more from him as well. This was before the event. Oh, sorry, no, this is after the event. He said, had an unreal time at Primetime Pro Wrestling today. Glad to be part of the team that brought indie wrestling back to DC. Can't wait to come back. Hashtag wrestling, hashtag wrestling community, hashtag Grapitol City, hashtag one tough nerd. Okay, who else?
Ooh, the guy with the rose in his mouth.
The guy with the rose in his mouth. And I didn't remember him. I believe that is Big Daddy Cruz. At KC Cruz, with 2 Z's. Dear ladies of Washington, D.C., have no fear. Big Daddy is here, and I can't wait to make my debut for Primetime Pro Wrestling. And show why everyone will remember the smooth operator. I think that's got to be him.
Big Daddy Haystacks. Ooh,
You're missing some obvious ones, actually.
I am?
Yeah, there's 2, or I thought you would have got straight away. Person who came in straight after Mikey Banker, I thought you might have got.
Guy that came in straight. I only remember.
Because they followed them around. Because it's somebody we've seen multiple times at Nova Pro.
Oh, no. I was about to say Breaux Keller.
Not Breaux Keller, because he was already in the main field.
Oh, the guy that was standing next to O'Shea on the
yeah, at the merge table.
Yeah.
That's not who I thought you would know, but that's Joe Scott.
Okay.
And Joe Scott looked really familiar to me, but I couldn't remember why. I tried looking online to see if I could see anything. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I know I've seen him before a couple of times, but I can't remember where. It says pro wrestler / actor for bookings. DM me. I thought that was kind of cool. You don't always realise the other side of these. You associate them as wrestlers, and then you forget sometimes that they have other jobs outside of wrestling, obviously, like during the week and that.
Oh,
So-
the guy who paid O'Shea.
Paid?
Yeah, to
What do you
leave
mean,
the
pay?
ring.
I don't even remember that part.
Okay, he gave him $1, and then, so O'Shea was about to eliminate him, and then he gave him $1 to just leave him alone, and then he eliminated himself.
Oh!
The one with the furry jacket.
I kind of do remember that. That was like the pretty boy, wasn't it? And Johnny Collins,
Okay.
at real_prettyboy1. Views on my way to at primetime PW. He's got a picture looking for his car. Ugh, the peasants from Washington are so not worthy of my handsomeness. That's all. That was an interesting. He came around with his mirror as well, because you could see him.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, he looked kind of like Tyler Breeze type thing. And then as you got around the corner and you could see it, his mirror was cracked. I'm sure if you're in a wrestling scenario and you're carrying a mirror, that's probably something that could easily get
I
broken.
remember one more guy.
You're doing pretty good, actually.
The guy, the one who,
There's still two I thought you would have got, but haven't.
I know.
And there's one who was kind of had a really big gimmick as well, which I thought you would have picked up on as well.
Buff Ref.
I'm talking about wrestlers. All right, let me give you the
No.
ones.
I have one more. The guy,
Okay.
the heel one. The
The
one
heel
that was a huge heel.
I don't know. Now, I might have mixed some of these up because there was a lot of people and we didn't know them all. Now, one I have on here is somebody called Darren the Artiste at DJ Entertains.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly which one that is.
Oh, that reminds me one. The one who had like a rainbow on his trunks. Who had like rainbow colored trunks.
See, you notice things that I'm terrible with things like that, as you well know, so I'm not sure. You might have already said him. All right, people I had, and in order. I thought you would have got Pork Chop Johnson.
Oh.
I didn't even talk to. I was at Classic Pro in Isla, as I mentioned, and Pork Chop was there. We didn't manage to get his autograph at UCW, so
He's on my notes.
and you still didn't get him. And his arm was in a sling, and he couldn't really even sign your autograph properly. And I said, "Are you going to be at the next UCW?" He's like, "Well, yeah, if I'm not injured." And then 24 hours later, he turns up at this event. So anyway, Pork Chop Johnson was one. Big Game Leroy Green was there, and he will get a mention later on. I'm not sure if you remember Big Game. I didn't notice him as much until we actually got home, and I'll explain that later.
Okay.
Mac Buckler. How did you not get Mac Buckler?
Oh, because he was hiding in the corner and then he got eliminated very quick.
I guess that's true. And the last one I've got is Carlo Weiss. On Twitter it says, wrestler at Creator Pro, guitar shredder, one handsome behind guy. I better change a word there. And Creator Pro is actually in New York. Now, the reason I'm telling you about that one is there's a few people on there who actually go to Creator Pro who we know. Grammarcop, who we just talked about, Francis Kip Stevens, the wrestling nerd, and a name from Nova Pro comes back up again from one of the tryout shows, Harry Zen.
Oh.
You remember Harry Zen? Yeah, he had
He
a really...
Goat.
Yeah, he was with
Bobby
Bobby Orlando.
Orlando.
He had a really good match. So I remembered Harry's End. So that might be one I might have a little look up at some point. All right, I did a lot on the intro there. Take us through the match then,
Oh,
Mason.
you have something before.
Okay.
Again. So when we were going in line to get our wristbands and tickets and all that, Josh glared at me for like a half a second. I mean, a half a minute.
He used to do that at Nova Pro through the doors. I thought that was funny that he was still doing that.
I have a question. Which one was your favorite Funko Pop? Of all the wrestlers.
From all the ones at the back? Oh, that's
Say.
tough. That's really tough. The one for Josh is really good.
I like Lady Frost's.
I like Bro
the
Keller's.
jackets.
And who did you say?
Lady Frost, her whole
Oh, I thought you said
jacket.
Nikki Cross.
No.
Yes, Lady Frost is really good as well. I don't think there's really a bad one.
No.
But some of them definitely are like, oof, that one's really spot on. Yeah, I could pick 2 or 3 straight away. Logan one's really good with the sweater as well. There's like a few that are really good.
I didn't see all of them. I just glanced at it a little bit.
I don't think they had them all there for that event, but yeah, online, Gated Community posts them, and yeah, they're just really, really clever how they do those. I like those so much.
Oh yeah, Buff Ref, I think he grew a beard.
Oh, didn't he have a beard before?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, alright.
Well,
Right,
yesterday
actually-
he did.
Well, it's funny
but-
that you call him Buff Ref as well, because he was actually the reason I was at the event that I talked about. I saw him post about it on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I wonder where that place is. So I looked, and I was like, oh, I can get there. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. He was there. Not one person called him Buff Ref. It was really weird. It was always, here is Ref Todd Myers. I'm like, it just didn't sound right. And of course, as soon as he came into the ring, it's Buff Ref, Buff Ref. So yeah, there was a big contrast between those two.
So, Mikey Banker, he gets instantly eliminated by the O'Shea.
Yeah, he did. He got into the middle of the ring and O'Shea just dispatched him straight away. So he spent a whole month trying to get his DC license, and he was done in a few seconds, which I thought was... I said before the match, I was like, it'd be really funny if Mikey got eliminated, like, in the first few seconds. And I guess it was probably obvious that wasn't going to happen in the end. They probably had to build a whole different storyline as well, because if he wasn't going to be there, you couldn't rely on him. I don't know what role they had for him, but if they ever had him for winning the event, obviously they had to change that whole storyline for that thing.
So the gym teacher, he did like sort of like 5 squats, and then he did a leg drop on I forgot his name.
I can't remember because there were so many people in there. This is why I'm glad I can do the
Oh,
research
the nerd
afterwards.
dude.
Oh, okay. Kip Stevens.
Yeah. And Pork Chop, he gets eliminated, and then he lands on his other arm, and then he looks like he really hurts.
It did, because you were like, oh, he's hurt his arm, and then I was like, it's the other arm. It was his left arm that he was signing autographs with. It was in the sling, but it was his right arm. But yeah, I agree. He did look like he was in pain, and then the person that got eliminated straight after landed on him, and yeah, Pork Chop did not have a...
I think it was the rainbow.
Yeah. It didn't look good though for him. He did genuinely look injured.
And then O'Shea, and the nerd dude, I forgot his name already.
Kip Stevens.
Oh,
so this is the last 2. So you're skipping over Okay, just for context then, everybody else is eliminated at this point. So there's like 15 people potentially. So we're already down to the last 2.
Yeah,
and O'Shea is already counting how many people he's eliminated.
He eliminated 9 people.
So it's 9 people at this point because everyone was counting along with him. He got some big cheers of O'Shea. Oh, I think that was what they were saying. I can't remember now because I didn't write it down, but he was getting some big cheers. Everyone was really into him.
Yeah, something that's should not be on a PG podcast, too.
Oh, it was?
They were saying that and something else.
Oh, I missed that part then. Okay, keep going.
And 10 eliminations, so he eliminated him. So the nerd dude, Kip Stevens, O'Shea asked him to punch him in the face, but then it does nothing, and then he just picks him up and throws him out.
It did, and then the crowd were right behind O'Shea winning, and then O'Shea got out the ring, though, threw him back into the ring, and then gave him like a big power slam or something, and then everyone started booing him again. And he's like, I don't care if you like me or not, kind of thing. So yeah, he went from being really over with the crowd to being a big heel instantly. And to be honest, I think his character fits more with being a heel anyway, so...
Because you got that big character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
eliminate
absolutely.
10 people.
He's strong. Yeah, I would say he's eliminated 10, and it wasn't a surprise to me that he'd made it into the next round. Now, that was, I don't know if we said at the start, the person who won the Battle Royal, or whatever we're calling it, made it into the main draw. So as it was set up, there was 4 women, 3 men, and then the qualifier. So we now knew who the 4 people were from each side. It was set up, though, so the semi-finals, when we got to them, would be man versus woman. And then the final could either be 2 men, 2 women, or 1 of each. So, match 1. Neal O'Neill versus Isaiah Frazier. Now, Neal O'Neill was actually supposed to be in the Battle Royal, but there was an injury to Savage Gentleman, Victor Benjamin. Not sure what. We think it's his arm,
I saw his thumb.
Okay, so his thumb...
His thumb was bandaged up.
We think that's the reason why he wasn't in the tournament. So they picked somebody from the pool, and Neal O'Neill basically got promoted. He got a bye, I guess, to the next round. Also, I noticed for this one, Isaiah Frazier came in with no belt on. Now, I was worried about that, because I saw that he was defending his crab wrestling title the previous night. So anyway, I asked on Twitter, I was like, hey, did he lose then? Anyway, I got a response back, no, he didn't lose. So he is still the crab title holder, and he'll be defending that belt at the
How long has he had that?
A long time. It's over 6 months, I know that. When he originally won it, I don't honestly remember now. So anyway, but then I wondered, I was like, is he not wearing that belt? Because he's going to be the champion? And then because if you already have the belt, you can't put another belt on top.
Well, technically, Austin Aries, he came out with like 10 title belts one time.
He did. So, but it did seem weird that he wasn't wearing that, and they didn't announce him, I don't think, as the crab champion either. Yeah. So I was kind of surprised about that one anyway.
Oh yeah, I just realized that's why Savage Gentleman was outside on this match.
Why?
Cause Neal O'Neill replaced him, so I think he was just looking at what he did. See if he just ruined his spot.
Okay.
But he still came out with Lady Frost, though. So
he did later. All right, tell us about this match, though, first.
So Isaiah's in an arm lock, and then he does a one-arm cartwheel to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And then a 619 with knees by Neal O'Neill. And Isaiah wins with the Falcon Arrow.
Yeah, now, I would say, I've seen 619s before, and they look pretty weak. Like, when you catch them with the feet, it's like a glancing blow. That one with the knee to the face, oof. I don't know if that's a variation. It also helps when you're
right next to it.
Well, I would say we had a perfect view. I would say you pick the side where the camera's behind us again, because you know that they're going to raise their arm in victory to the camera. It is going to be on Independent Wrestling TV. I saw that afterwards. I didn't know that actually going into this. I assumed it kind of was going to be, but I wasn't sure. So, yeah, so we picked the perfect side to see a lot of those moves. I had one other thing from this match in particular. I mentioned as well, like you said, Victor Benjamin was on the edge of the ring. Is he going to interfere? No, he didn't do anything. He was just watching, like you said. Isaiah Frazier wasn't a Boston Crab, which was looking really painful, but he did manage to escape by getting to the rope. But yeah, I didn't have much more besides what you had for that one. So let's move on to match 2 then. I assumed that this wasn't going to be the men's match because I would say they just come from the Battle Royal. He wouldn't have had much of a break, and they didn't. They went to Lady Frost versus Ashley America. Now, as Lady Frost came in, she was a heel character, which is normal. She was a little more sassy than normal as well. Like, she was getting a good round of applause, people were cheering her, and she was mocking him, like, oh, look at you clapping at me, kind of thing. And she was just really mocking. And Savage Gentleman did the same thing. He's like, oh, aren't you good clapping? They were being really mean to everyone. He had his coat on. I can't believe he had his coat on. We talked about how hot it was earlier, and he still had that coat on. Anyway, let's talk about Ashley America, because we hadn't seen Ashley. This was her debut for us, as far as we're concerned, in seeing her. She came out as like somebody said Dora the Explorer.
Kairi Sane, sort of? Like,
I guess so, in terms of the treasure map and the binoculars. Was it binoculars or was it a telescope? I can't remember.
She has a... I know Kairi Sane has a telescope.
She does. I think Ashley had binoculars actually for this one, and she had her map. And it says on here on Twitter, independent. Actually, it wasn't Twitter. I'm sorry, it was somebody else. Independent pro wrestler. I'm the wilderness girl. I'm a tree hugging, mean mugging, trailblazing sensation. Actually, I guess that is from Twitter. That must be from her own Twitter account. The next part was not. So I wanted to find out a little bit more about Ashley. So it said she debuted as Ashley America and had her first match on December 13 while training in the Monster Factory Pro Wrestling. I'm not sure on the year. I think it's around 2014, something like that.
Wait, isn't the Monster Factory the one that Jim Christian owns?
No, that's the Pain Factory. The Monster one is in, I think it's Philadelphia. It was one I wanted to take you guys to, but we didn't quite manage to get there.
Are they all factories? Like, the wrestling schools are factories?
I think the posh term is dojo. I think that's like the training facility, but I think that's the Japanese word, so I think we just use factory. I think it seems probably a more logical word. And then it kind of gets weird. I did see in 2019 at Victory Pro Wrestling, at the Glory Days event, she actually fought against Ariela Nix, who's also in this tournament, so those two certainly know each other. And, it was kind of weird. It said that she wrestled her final match at Vicious Outcast Wrestling on February 13th, 2016, where she defeated veteran women's wrestler Randy West. On February 29th, 2016, she announced on Twitter that she was going to retire. I couldn't find anything in between. It was like really weird. I kept looking at different places, and there's like whole gaps, and I couldn't find it. Obviously, she's wrestling now. I just said she fought Ariela Nix as well. When I scroll back through her Twitter feed, there's other matches from 2019 as well. So, not sure what happened, but it said she'd only been wrestling for 2 years. So, not sure what happened, whether it was an injury, perhaps it was something that cleared up. Like, Daniel Bryan was out for like 2-3 years as well with his neck injury, and he comes back and he seems to be pretty good now. When you can have other injuries like Paige and she'll never wrestle again. So, it might just have been one of those ones that took a little longer to clear up, but I'm not quite sure on that. Okay, tell us about this match then.
They said Tim Donst would never wrestle again, so he sort of, he's retired sort of, but then he came back.
Yeah.
And I hope that Lady Frost can cool it down a bit.
Yeah, we were kind of wishing that she was probably out of it. And she came in as well with her, it's got like fur on, it's all white. I don't know if gown is the right word, but yeah, she must have been...
Well, she just had it draped around her shoulders, so it like...
Still hot though. If people who were just in t-shirts were really hot. Anything that you got on that's heavy as well is even more noticeable in days like this.
Mm-hmm. So, I have Lady Frost, and I have the ending.
It's all you. You're doing
So Lady Frost, she wins with the snowball fight. And then usually Savage Gentleman, he like throws the snowballs while she's doing it. Mm-hmm. But after she did it, she pinned him. Then he starts throwing it at her.
Uh-huh. That's it? You just got the ending? Okay, yeah. All right. Well, I didn't write anything down for this, but the thing I do remember is, and I don't know if she always does this, right at the start, as they're going up to sort of lock up, Lady Frost did like a cartwheel on the floor and got to the other side and sort of does her like, oh, look at Anna again. And she did that one a couple of times. Okay, I'll move on to match 3 then. Ariela Nix versus Faye Jackson. We've talked about a lot of these people before at Nova Pro and other reviews, so let's go straight into this match. Or knowing you, let's go straight to the ending.
Okay.
No, tell us what you have.
Okay, so the action goes into the outside, and then like I stand up on my chair a little late, and then I see like beer cans flying.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Faye actually took a beer can from one of the fans. I don't know if she asked or because I couldn't see at that point. And she took a swig and then gave it back to the person and then carried on with the match. That's kind of Faye Jackson's thing because she did that with Kimberly as well. I think that was that the last Nova Pro event? I'm not sure. It was either the last one or the next to last one. So I know that Faye Jackson's used to sort of moving around the arena. I don't think it was a falls anywhere count though. No. So I think that's probably why she...
count anywhere?
Sorry, falls count anyway. I think that's why she had to eventually bring it back into the ring.
Yeah. And... Ooh, I lost my... So, next she does, So she runs into Nyx 5 times, and then Faye misses the cannonball, and then Nyx, she pins it with the feet on the rope.
She did. She had both feet on the middle rope. Now, I didn't mention my predictions ahead of time, and I actually thought that it was either going to be Isaiah Frazier or Breaux in the final, and I thought Breaux would probably slightly edge it, and I actually thought Faye Jackson would be the other person. Now, I'm not sure I had the right draw, actually. That might have been an impossible combination. Mayday posted a bracket at one point, but it was the wrong bracket. So I think I might have looked at just the first one. But yeah, I was surprised. I honestly thought Faye would probably...
I think Mayday, did he, write it down as the match is finished?
He did in the end. He had a corrected bracket, and then as he did, he wrote the whole thing on, and then you could take a picture of the whole thing so you could see basically how... Kind of like we take notes. So you could see at the end, oh yeah, I remember how the order of the matches went. I know that was the finish. I don't think anything particular happened. I'm sure Faye was unhappy. I'm sure she complained. Oh, of course, Buff Ref was obviously in this match as well. And as soon as he got in, it was like, do your job. Before Faye even did anything this time. So people who've listened to our podcast before will know what we're talking about. But yeah, they certainly continued with that theme. All right, match 4. O'Shea Edwards versus Brau Keller. Now, I already mentioned I was wearing my Brau shirt, so I was really excited to see Brau for this one. And I already mentioned that O'Shea is in the dojo. Now, I did see a couple of things with O'Shea. He had one thing on the side of his shorts that said, "Deny me now." And I also saw on his shirt, it said, "The Big Bad Kaiju." Because I actually asked you, I was like, do you know what Kaiju is? And you're like, no, I got no idea. And I had no idea what it was either. Anyway, I looked it up. Kaiju is a Japanese film genre that features giant monsters. That makes sense. O'Shea's a big character, right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that word kaiju before. So anyway, I'm sure people that like anime and Japanese culture probably knew what that was. I certainly didn't know what that was, but I thought that fitted in with it perfectly. All right, tell us about the match.
So Brau, he flies, and then O'Shea catches him and throws him into the post head first. Mm-hmm. And then time runs out, and then O'Shea wants... he won't let go of the submission hold, but then the ref, he disqualifies O'Shea.
I didn't understand that. Now, there wasn't a time limit to these events, but so what happened if it was a tie? And I guess we don't know the answer to that. So he only got disqualified because he didn't let go? The match already finished, though. I don't think he can be disqualified after the match is... Anyway, it was obviously setting up for something different, but yeah. I thought Brau handled himself really well in this one, because O'Shea was clearly the bigger guy. But he got his moves in as well. He did some moves from the top rope. I'm going to say he often caught him. He did slam him. When you said slam him into the post, are you talking about the one that was on the outside of the ring or the inside of the ring?
The outside. Okay,
and that's what I figured. Yeah, they had the posts that obviously support the roof and stuff. But yeah, he got everyone out of the way because the cameraman was in the way at one point, and he's like, get out of the way. And I actually saw that again on Twitter last night. You can see my blue shoes on the film. That's like the lowest level of fame possible, but you can see my blue shoes on the guardrail because they kind of stand out a little bit. But yes, I thought that's what you were talking about. Okay, and an update. Because of severe weather in the Washington, D.C. area, we have decided to postpone this show with, I'm just going to say O'Shea Edwards because his name's not very polite for PG. Stay tuned for updates or subscribe to YouTube channel for notification on changes. So the big gold belt. They were supposed to actually interview him, and remember we had the thunderstorms coming through here, and it was getting kind of bad. So they cancelled that one, but keep an eye out for that one. I'm sure by the time this has come out, they probably managed to release this episode. So if you want to know more about O'Shea Edwards, then you can find it there. So that took us sensibly to the intermission, because we'd obviously had all the first round matches. Do you want to talk about the intermission then? Who did we go see?
The Fan.
I guess we did. They had huge fans there. And, people who had standing room only might have actually had the best seats, theoretically. Because you could stand next to it, and it was really cool. It was really close to the merch stand, though. I kind of felt bad standing there too long, because it was kind of blocking people who were trying to sell stuff, like Faye, Ashley. But yeah, those big fans were really powerful, and they were kind of needed, but yeah.
And then first we went to O'Shea.
We actually went to somebody else
Well,
first.
we went to Ariela Nix, but she didn't have any change.
She didn't.
So we went to O'Shea first.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a really nice guy. We knew we wanted and his pictures were really cool as well. And while we were waiting, because somebody was buying a shirt ahead of us, we saw one where he's doing like a flip from the top rope. It looked really cool. So we picked out that one. We got one of his stickers as well, so we could give it to Jay and we could put it on your door.
I noticed that, and I think he's flipping on top of Kevin Q.
Oh, you did? And I didn't even notice that, because I was like, he's a big guy. I didn't even know he did that type of maneuver. And as we sat down, you were like, is that Kevin Q? I was like, oh yeah, I think you're right. I think that is Kevin Q. He didn't have any change either, but he went and got some from somebody else.
I think it was like the beer stand.
Probably. That would make sense. I feel bad. I had some change for the other event, the Classic Pro Wrestling, and I used it all up. And then I didn't have anything except for we went to the ATM ahead of time, and I just got all 20s. So anyway, it was good enough. We managed to do that. Then we went back to Ariela. I saw she posted online that she was selling autographs, and I just said, we'll catch you when we go to this event. I wasn't going to ask her to ship it to us. It seemed kind of silly for that. And anyway, we managed to get a picture with her as well.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned earlier, and I bet I deleted his name. I said, I'm going to mention one more name to you earlier. I deleted it. Oh, it's Leroy Green. Leroy Green photobombed your picture with Ariela Nix. It's really funny. You know, I always take like several, and I wasn't really looking. I was trying to frame you. And then I said, didn't quite get it lined up. I cut off part of the photo you were holding of her. So I tried to move it. He's in the background, just stood there with his arms out, and he's laughing. He's like, ha, ha, ha. It's really good, actually.
Which one's Leroy?
You will see. You will see.
Oh, okay.
I recognized him because he does like an L with his finger, like loser.
Yeah, that's Rainbow.
Oh, that's Rainbow guy?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Leroy Green, anyway. Obviously L for Leroy as well.
Oh, I thought it was like L for loser, like it usually
Well, that's
is.
what it is, but I'm assuming it's L for Leroy as well. I could be totally wrong on that. But yeah, he did a great photobomb, so I must make sure, when we post this episode, I'll make sure I post that picture. Or I'll post it on your Twitter feed later. Actually, I might have already posted it. And we kind of wanted to go back to Ashley, but she was a little busy, so we went back, I think got some more fan time in, and then we went back to our seats. And then they started the semi-finals, or as the announcer said, the semi-finals. So match 5 was Isaiah Frazier versus Lady Frost. Lady Frost came out as normal, and then she took her gown off, gave it to someone, like, oh, make sure you don't have dirty fingers. And anyway, the person took it, went to the back, and then Isaiah Frazier came out in the same gown. It was brilliant. Of course, Savage Gentlemen's are all upset, Lady Frost's all upset, and he's just walking around, prancing around, wearing her garbs. It looked absolutely great. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, so Lady Frost, she turns her back on Isaiah Frazier, and then he pins her, he like rolls her up for a 2. And then she turns her back on again, and then she rolls him up for a 3.
Yeah, it was a short match, and I thought you were going to make it even shorter for a minute and go straight to the finish. But yeah, she got caught out a couple of times by that and didn't learn from it. I honestly thought Savage Gentleman was going to play a bigger role in this one. He might just be that injured that he couldn't physically do anything for this one. So he might not have been cleared. He might not have been cleared. So. Yeah, so that might have been part of it as well, so I don't know about this. Now, the question I have for you, this one. Obviously, we talked about Savage Gentleman was supposed to be in the tournament, and then Neal took his place, okay?
Yeah.
So, in round 1 then, originally, it would have been Savage Gentleman versus Isaiah Frazier. Who do you think would have won that match?
Depending on the finish, I really don't know.
Okay.
I'm sort of leaning towards Savage Gentleman.
Alright, so, and if you hadn't, and we're going to go through both scenarios. If Savage Gentleman wins that match then, in the semi-finals, he faces Lady Frost.
Oh.
What happens then?
He just lays down?
I wondered that as well, and I suggested that. As a gentleman, he would just surely lay down, let Lady Frost pin him, and then Lady Frost's in the final. So I am wondering, with Savage Gentleman out of this, it changes some of those dynamics. I'm sure that was set up deliberately to match those two people up together, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think? Or, and the other alternative's good there as well, Savage Gentleman loses, but feels cheated about it, and then in the next match, when he faces Lady Frost, he interferes in that match, and then Lady Frost still makes it to the final. So I think Lady Frost could have been in the final if it wasn't for Savage Gentleman's injury.
I feel like wait, what would have Eel O'Neill? Who did Eel O'Neill face?
Isaiah Frazier. That's why that's why I mentioned Isaiah Frazier.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Obviously, Isaiah Frazier won, which is why he's in this match. That's why I'm talking about it at this point in the podcast. It's interesting, right?
That would have been a tough first match.
That would have been, yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, I think it's interesting what could have happened on this. I don't want to steal RJ's theme here. He does something called revisionist booking, where they look at what happened, what could have happened if they booked it a slightly different way. But I thought that was an interesting one. If those two had a faced, because I wondered originally, would they face in the final, or could they face in the semi-finals? But yeah, I think that's an interesting one. All right, match 6. The second semi-final was between Ariela Nix and Breaux Keller.
So Ariela Nix, like, she tries to pin him with the feet on the rope this time.
Mm-hmm. Buff Ref was all onto that. He said straight away, he's like, no, keep your feet down. Yep, I saw it. No.
And then Breaux Keller doesn't want to hit Ariela to get out of a hold.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, and then he just slams her into her face into the turnbuckle thing, and
he
then
did
jumps
eventually.
on her, and then that Breaux wins.
I liked how they set that up to begin with, that Breaux's such a good guy and he's such a face that he didn't want to hit the woman, even though it's obviously intergender wrestling. He felt kind of bad about it, but then eventually he's just like, I got to. And then, yeah. So he made it into the final, so we knew now that it was going to be Breaux versus Isaiah Frazier. Now, Ariela Nix tweeted afterwards, losing tonight at Primetime Pro gave me a really good idea. I promise you all that at the next show, I'm not coming alone. Ooh.
Coach Gator's coming back.
Could be. That would have been the person she went before. Or she's also supported Mikey Banker before. So it could be that Mikey Banker might be the person that's her hired help. I don't know. So that's something that could be potentially interesting for this one. All right, match 7 was the Grimy Scots versus the Capital Vices. Now, for this one, we like I said, we forgot the flag. I tweeted to the Grimy Scots, I'm sorry, we forgot your flag. And they actually tweeted back to me, but I had my phone switched off. Hey, you can borrow our flag at the intermission. So I guess that's one thing we missed at the intermission. At the very end, you went and grabbed a flag so we could wave it for them. And yeah, they came out with... Oh, that was the other thing we missed at the intermission. We got a picture with Josh Fuller as well, because he was going to be their manager. So we got that one picture as well. So Josh Fuller came out, cut his promo, announced that from now on they're not going to be known as the Grimy Scots. They're going to be known as Fuller's House version 2.0. And the Grimy Scots are looking at each other and like, nah, that's not happening. But so we'll have to see whether they're going to be Fuller's House version 2.0 or not. But they didn't seem to like that. And yeah, they had the open challenge. And yeah, Capital Vices came out, who were Sin and Money. Now, for some reason, Money Green. For some reason, I didn't follow these people on Twitter. I don't know how I missed them. I think I told you before I had big difficulty finding Money Green. And I managed to find them. I think I found them through the Crab Wrestling link, actually, because obviously they're part of Crab Wrestling.
Didn't you say that I couldn't follow Money Green, or was that Anthony Green?
I don't think I said that.
Yeah, I couldn't, like, follow them.
Oh, yeah, Anthony, yeah, it wouldn't let you follow Anthony Green, or it wouldn't let you tag him or something. It was really weird. I never figured that one out, to be honest. Now, we talked about tweets earlier. So, Sin, I followed him. He hasn't tweeted since February 9th, so that's over 3 months. And Money Green joined in October 2017. He has 19 tweets within that time, which is not very many. That's like one a month. And he actually only has 2 tweets. The other 17 are retweets. So he doesn't tweet very much either. But anyway, I did follow both of those guys. And of course, whenever you think of those guys, it's the hashtag cheat to eat, which the crowd got into. As soon as they walked in, it was like, cheat, cheat, cheat to eat. So they got all into that one as well. All right, talk to us about this match then.
So Money Green, he climbs on like the post to hold the build, like the structural, like that part.
Uh-huh.
And then he dives. He does like the Kofi Kingston trust fall off it.
He did, yeah. I thought he was gonna do like a flip or something.
Exactly.
But yeah.
I thought he was gonna like turn around and like.
Yeah, no, just fell straight down and.
Or like what Charlotte does.
Mm-hmm.
Then Money Green and Sin win with the power bomb like off the top
That's
rope.
it.
Yeah,
I knew as soon as you went to that for your first
short.
moment, and as soon as you went to that first one, I'm like, oh gosh, we're in trouble here. Even though I had plenty of moments from pictures where I could see that the Grimy Scots were dominating, and they had them 2-on-1 battle in the corner of the ring, and one would hold one, and then the other one would run into him and things like that.
Josh Fuller was like crying after the match.
Josh Fuller was crying. Josh Fuller's got some great expressions.
I like his Scottish accent.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Like he was
It obviously
talking,
wasn't too good then.
I could hear it on the mic. It was like sort of, I don't know if it was the mic though. If it was just the mic. 'Cause
It might have appeared Scottish to you. I didn't notice it at all.
it sort of sounded English-ish.
Okay, well, I don't know. I didn't pick up on that.
I don't exactly know the Scottish accent, but
I did post afterwards that we should take a moment to thank Josh Fuller for how entertaining he is. And I posted some of his different expressions during the match. I showed him a picture of him holding his Pop Funko character. I showed a picture of you guys together. I showed him crying on the edge of the ring. And I had one other picture of him as well. He does a great job. Even if he's not wrestling, you're still going to get entertained when Josh Fuller's around, and I really like that. I don't think we're going to see that at the end of the Grimy Scots or the end of that partnership, but it'd be interesting to see how that storyline develops as well.
Well, if Josh turns on them, that's 2 against 1, not very smart.
That wouldn't be very smart either. No, I would have to agree on that. Alright, match 8. So this is the final then. This is Breaux Keller versus Isaiah Frazier. And there is a title belt for this one as well. Nova Pro was always well known for not having a title belt. And every time there was a question and answer session, someone would go, why do you have a title belt? You're like, you don't think we've been asked this before? We're not having a title belt. And they just didn't want one. I was okay with that. The group decided to have one. If I remember correctly, someone complained that Australia was missing from the map of the world that was on the belt. But anyway, okay.
It was?
I don't know. I didn't actually look that closely. I just remember seeing it, and I don't really pay attention to details like that.
How do they, I don't pay attention that much to see, if every single country's on there.
Well, I wasn't either. Australia's pretty big, but it was kind of, I don't know, it wasn't like the rectangular thing, it was like the circular sign, so you can't fit everything on anyway, so...
So there was a whole bunch of kick-outs and close twos, and then, Breaux Keller, he did, a cutter on the apron.
Uh-huh.
And then, more 2 counts, and then staring at the match, and then...
Go on.
And then Breaux wins.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This was the best match we've ever seen.
I was so
And as soon as you start, I'm like, you're not gonna mention the fact that the cheering, the crowd, you didn't mention that one time. I commented that the atmosphere was, I think, the best atmosphere I've ever been to. Everyone was cheering for Breaux, everyone was cheering for Isaiah, and then there was alternate chants, Isaiah, Breaux, Isaiah, Breaux. It was really... Kerman actually tweeted about it as well. He posted the video. It's really loud. The fact that this was the debut match for this, the debut tournament for this group, that atmosphere was electric. It was obviously people who knew both those characters before.
Yeah.
I've never seen it so equally split as that. 2 people who are both faces as well. Normally the criticism from WWE is Vince doesn't like to put face versus face because it doesn't make a good match. They couldn't be more wrong on the basis of this one. They stopped at different points. You actually said, I just saw Breaux mouth something to Isaiah, isn't this fun or something like that. I thought you were going to mention that.
Yeah, he did.
And you could tell they were smiling at each other. They were kind of doing handshakes with each other. They'd have a series of moves that were brilliant, and then it would sort of be both on the floor, and then as they get up, everyone was cheering, and it'd be a handshake.
Clapped.
The ref was clapping. I pointed that one out to you. Yeah, Todd Myers was there on the side clapping as well. You don't often see that. Everyone was so into that match. Those guys gave everything.
Oh yeah, and Mikey Banker. So one time Isaiah kicked out of a Falcon Arrow, and then Mikey Banker, you could see he was next to the curtain. He was so surprised. He had his hands on his head and then walked into the back.
Yeah, there was a lot of kickouts at 2, and each time it was whoever you were rooting for, you thought they'd won or you thought they'd lost multiple times in this one. The show was great. Yeah. It was absolutely brilliant, and we talked about the heat. It was tough even to do 1 match. These guys had to do 3 matches. So, and that last match, there was no time limit. I don't know how long it went on, but it wasn't a short match.
Imagine if O'Shea had to wrestle, if he won the whole thing, he would have had to wrestle 5.
Correct, yeah, he would have had even more to do as well. And as you talked about O'Shea then, as you're not going to talk about it, I guess I will. So after the match, they did have the... O'Shea actually tried to come out because I think he felt cheated by it, and they had everybody there trying to push him back. And anyway, he went back.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. So there was this masked guy that was on the outside, throat slashing and pointing at them. I thought he was about to interfere after that match, but it was O'Shea that actually interfered.
And that would have been the next thing I was going to say. I got that written down. How hot is it to want to wear that and not even being part of it? Because we were like, oh, he's going to come in, he has to. Why would you wear that? Perhaps he didn't realize it was going to be as hot as that.
Because when we walked out. We saw him cutting a promo with the documentary people. Remember that?
Oh, we did. So perhaps he is something to do with that. So we might find out more about that later. Also, I saw somebody called DC Brawler, I think, as well. Did you see that? He was just ahead of us. He had like a white T-shirt that was all ripped.
That cigar was huge.
Perhaps it was just, I don't know. Perhaps they're just people that like to dress up as wrestling characters.
Wait.
I don't know.
Is that the real size of a cigar that he had?
You can get cigars that are big. I didn't see that particular one, but yeah, they're a lot bigger than cigarettes if that's what you're comparing it to.
I know. I was like, I knew cigars were a little bigger. I just didn't know if they were that big.
You can get extra big ones, so you don't have to keep like smoking one and smoking another one. So you can just make one last for hours, but you could certainly make it last for a long time. And people came into the ring. I just realised at some point we missed out on the fact that Lolo actually introduced one of the matches as well. I think it was match 4. She said she came into the ring to talk about something. I think the sponsors, also to introduce the DC commissioner, I think it was. And she said, hey, do you mind if I introduce one match? Because I used to be an introducer. Anyway, she did that one. Anyway, she came back into the ring. Mr. Gator came back into the ring for the first time. So, no, he didn't play any part as Coach Gator at all. It was all Mr. Gator. Perhaps this is why we should write stuff down in our little book. No. Although you did talk about the fact that your ink was running out. So that might be why you didn't have many moments,
like you can barely see the Money Green match.
Yeah. Go on then. Tell us what you got.
And so when Lolo, she was introducing one of the DC department, we all started booing them. And then she said, if you boo them, we might not be able to have a second show. So we all started cheering.
I'd forgotten about that. No, they already announced ahead of time they were going to do a second show, so we knew that wasn't going to be a problem. But I'd forgotten that. Yeah, well, that should definitely have been written down. That's definitely a good one for this one. All right. Afterwards on Twitter, I posted congratulations to @Breaux Keller, the inaugural @Primetime PW champion, but also to @GiftedIF for making the final a great one. I have not heard a reaction like that from the crowd to both competitors anywhere. Never mind on a debut show. #both these guys. That was one of the other chants as well. We did have those alternate chants, but we also had a chant of both these guys. They're absolutely fantastic. And literally 2 minutes before we came on to record, Brau actually responded to that. He said, thank you so much. What a surreal day. I couldn't agree more with the emotion and passion I felt in the room. Absolutely incredible and humbling afternoon. And I thought about that while they were actually wrestling. I was like, you talk about the wrestlers, clearly they don't make a lot of money from this. It's something that's a real passion for them. And they've said one of their big things is the reaction of the crowd. I can't imagine a bigger reaction than that. That must have felt so cool hearing your name chanted out like that. Seeing people with your face on their t-shirt. There was just a lot of cool things in that. And both those guys deserve that. Both of those guys have to be moving up onto the next level, you would think. They definitely have a great future ahead of them.
And you took a picture with like Maddie and some 2 other people with all Breaux shirts?
Uh-huh. Yep, I did. Yeah, I wish I could remember the other person's name. I can't. I know that I follow them on Twitter now. Because I got tagged in that picture, so we now know who each other are. I've got a few people who follow me on Twitter now from that event, different people, and I followed some as well. Like if you see people posting about the event, and you're like, oh, that's cool, then you know to follow them, and vice versa. Alright, so as we left, we saw the camera crew again, and like you said, they were doing that interview, and they actually recognised your jersey. They were like, hey, we recognise your jersey.
Because I had it on the whole time, unlike you.
You had it on the whole... Well, I couldn't wear mine last time, if you remember, because mine used to say Nova Pro, and then I ordered one that said Indie on it, but it arrived 30 minutes after we left for EWA, which is where we saw these guys.
No, I'm talking about this event.
This event, I agree, but I had my jersey this time, so I actually put it back on, because they said, could we talk to us? And I said, yeah. And I asked them ahead of time, I was like, oh, so you are doing a documentary? Can you tell us about it? Like, when's it coming out? Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I recognized them, they recognized you, and, yeah.
I didn't recognize them, because I didn't really remember them from EAW. EWA.
Well, not specific, but the fact they had the camera there and you knew they were recording a documentary, I pieced it together that obviously it's the same people. I'm not going to say I recognised their faces, but I knew it was the same documentary
I didn't even know they had a documentary crew at EWA.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't even notice.
Oh, so you didn't see the sign?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought we talked about it, but it was one of those probably where it was a little loud again. Oh, that was the other thing at this one. You were trying to talk to me at different points, so they're all going like, Bro! And you're trying to talk. I'm like, I can't hear, buddy. It was so loud.
Oh, yeah,
because
I was
really
trying to ask you, like, which, because Mayday he had assigned an independent one. And then I was trying to ask which symbol was the women's,
and which was the female.
And then
correct.
I had to yell like as the top of my lungs, but yet you still couldn't hear me like 5 different times.
Couldn't hear at all. And we didn't talk about any of Mayday's signs either. He had some great ones. He basically said, I'm going to vote for Lolo and Mr. Gator in 2020, which is the presidential elections. That's the next presidential elections. He had a great intergender sign. He had a great one, welcome to prime time, for everyone as they walked in, which I thought was really cool as well.
I hope these guys just both have fun.
And for the final, and they absolutely did. Because that was one where I didn't care who won. I like both those guys. I was perfectly okay. If Isaiah would have won, I would have been perfectly happy for Isaiah as well.
And the bracket.
And the bracket as well, which he had at the end as well. And I posted those pictures on Twitter last night. Because they're really good. He goes to a lot of trouble doing those. I wonder if he'd had signs ahead of time and then had to switch them at the last minute. I don't know. You never know with things like that when people have to change who's going to be in, who's not going to be in.
I really like the Nova Pro ones where he like draws the characters.
And I think for this one, he's probably done all those people because he's probably seen them before. Yeah. And he goes to lots of other events as well where he gives them out. So there probably wasn't many people, if any, if he'd probably not seen them before for this one. All right, so we stepped to the side because we were kind of in the way a little bit. We stepped out to the side so we could get interviewed a little easier. So what questions did they ask us, Mason?
Like why we were at Primetime Pro.
Yep.
Which I was so nervous because I was just standing there on the camera with the camera at me. Because, I'm not as nervous with the podcast because there's no people asking me just random questions that you have no, preparation for. And that's why I was sort of nervous for that one time that it was, why we watch. And then, that's
a podcast that's also on the Visionaries Wrestling Network.
Edited and all that stuff, but...
Well, they can edit this as well. It's a documentary. They're not going to leave everything in. But yeah, they wanted to know why we're there because they're obviously trying to set the background story. So we said we were there because there was lots of wrestlers we want to see and we like coming to indie events, yeah? What else did they ask us?
What do you like most about the independent wrestling?
They asked us about that as well. And you also mentioned the fact that one of the things you like is intergender wrestling. And then they asked you about that. Like, why do you like intergender wrestling so much? Because you won't
see Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy. And we just watched that one today. That one was great.
That was brilliant. You just don't get those types of matches.
Oh, I'm just confused. Is that Shockwave the robot versus Penelope Ford? Does that count as an intergender? What is he, male or female?
Well, I posted, because Jackson said he wanted to follow him, obviously. And I was like, is it on Twitter? I don't know for questions like that. I don't know if that is that interspecies. I don't even know what that counts as. I'm not even sure on that. You also mentioned the podcast. You mentioned we came here because we do a podcast and you like to review shows. Not once did you mention the name of the podcast. So I stepped in and said I mentioned the name of the podcast. I mentioned I was your co-host. I mentioned I do all the Twitter stuff. You know how you're nervous for tagging
Nova Pro? That's what I sort of felt like.
Oh, you didn't want to put your own name in there? Okay, well that's fine.
Oh, it wasn't the name, it was just I didn't want to
show off.
Yeah.
Alright, that's fair enough. I think it's reasonable to mention that. It might not make the cut, but there's no reason not to mention it, I didn't think. Perhaps I don't care about that as much now as well. We've been doing this for a while. And we also turned around and showed them our jerseys, because my new jersey now does say I can't wear Nova Pro anymore. So it seems silly. We go to so many different events. It made more sense for me to get Indie 20, you to have Wrestling 19 like you've always had, so when we sit together it says Indie Wrestling 2019. I think that works better.
We sat the right time this time so the camera can see Indie Wrestling.
We actually got it right, yeah. I don't know if it saw us because I'm not sure exactly what the angle was, but yeah, no, I thought that made sense. And they also asked as well, is it good father-son bonding time as well? And you said yes, because you like spending time with me, it's a good thing that we like to do together. And the documentary anyway comes out on June 28th, they said, so hopefully we're going to get to see that. And then I think we stepped aside and then we signed the waivers and everything. I had to sign a special one for you because you're under 18. You have to give permission for your... I don't think it's just image, but if they talk to you, you have to give permission that they can include that on their documentary. They do that with TV shows as well. Of course, you don't normally see that because you just watch the edited version of it.
Oh, so when I was on that sort of documentary for PCO, but
You didn't talk in that. That's why that sign says you don't mind your image being filmed. So that's different. So they can film you in the context of where you're at. But if they talk to you, then you have to give permission for that to be included within the documentary. Well, at least that's my understanding anyway. All right, to wrap this one up, Mr. Gator on Twitter. 2 people I respect said #Grapitol City exceeded their expectations. We had people at their first show who want to come back, so thank you to all the talent, the crew, the volunteers, all the fans, my friends and family, and the amazing staff at DC Brau, and everyone named Lolo. which I thought was kind of funny as well. I'm sure there was more than 2 people that thought that. I'm sure that perhaps he might not have talked to everybody. It far exceeded my expectations as well. I wasn't sure for a first show what it was going to be like. It was great. The atmosphere was incredible. And of course, it brought new people in as well. With it being in DC, the fact that people who go to that place, DC Brau, they might have been curious to see what it was as well. I'm sure that's going to put new fans in, which for us makes it even worse. How difficult was it for us to get tickets with this one? Never mind the next one. So it'll be interesting to see.
Maddie asked me how it was, how the show was for a first show of Primetime Pro, and I said that's way better than the one I watched of Nova Pro.
The first one? No, oh, absolutely. And I'm sure, obviously, you got to remember a lot of these people worked with Nova Pro as well. So you obviously learn from that and you take that experience from that as well. But no, I absolutely agree. Yeah, it was huge differences. Mr. Gator also tweeted, I'm ready to make my karaoke debut at DC 9 Club. Come on down. Now, they were selling pre-sale tickets there as well. And I was like, well, we're not going to the after party, so that's not going to happen. Anyway, Mayday was really nice. He offered to, he's like, don't worry. I can't remember what he said. He posted a phrase that we thought was funny that perhaps one of our friends wouldn't. He was like, I got you, fam. Or something like that, anyway. So we saw him, and he did. He's actually managed to get us front row seats. So we're really happy about that. They are going to start selling tickets on Friday, which is actually probably 3 days before this is released. But if it was difficult to get tickets the first time, I can only imagine it's going to be more difficult the second time around. So I'm glad that we have seats for that. And let me give you some details about that. The next show is called Washington Monumental. I like that. I think that's good.
What was this one called?
Grapitol City. Like Capital City, but Graps. July 28th. Once again, it's going to be at DC Brau. They've announced a few matches already. Jimmy Jacobs is going to be there against Blank. So we obviously have seen both of those before.
Jimmy Jacobs was on my Kevin Owens one. Kevin Owens DVD.
Jimmy Jacobs is a big star. Alley Cat's going to be there as well, so that's really cool. And also Still Life with, I guess you guys would say apricots and pears. I would say apricots and pears. Who was the Chikara Young Lions 15 champ. So they've already announced a few of the matches. They have said within the next few days, so by the time this podcast come out, they're going to announce who is going to be the first defense is going to be for Breaux. And we'll have to see. I don't think it's going to be O'Shea, actually. I think that's going to be... I told you afterwards. I think that's probably going to be the third match. I think he's going to interfere in the second match, and then O'Shea will be in the third match.
I think it's going to be that mystery guy.
The mystery guy?
Yeah.
Who's the mystery guy?
The one that was the throat slashing and pointing.
Oh, that guy.
Because he cut a promo on the document.
He did.
But we don't know what it was, so it...
We don't.
And they said that they'll announce it.
Yeah, and that's already come out. That's going to be... documentary will be out by that time as well, so it could be all explained. Could be. And when we talked to the documentary crew as well, they did say that they'd been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They'd watched the training. I also saw on Lolo's Twitter feed as well that there was something going on at a restaurant where they were filming as well. They were probably just talking about the show and planning it and stuff. But yeah, so they obviously know a lot more than what we know. So yeah, they might have some more information on that. Now, also, if you want to go see more of the champ, Breaux Keller, you can also go to Crab Wrestling. That's going to be June 8th at the Ox Brewery. And he will be facing at Dame Smith Boo. And that's because of also the injury to Savage Gentleman, because he was supposed to be turning up at that one. And I think that does it for me, Mason. Anything you want to add for the end of this one?
I don't think so.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/.
You are listening to